Back. Hello, adventurers. Welcome back to another episode of Thumbstick Adventurers. I'm Kagros.
IDK.
And I'm Juicy Samples.
All right, so this is actually a very special episode for us. This is our officially our 10th episode, and if you're watching this live, you'll be watching us on Twitch. Otherwise, you will be able to find this episode once it has streamed on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is called Thumbstick Adventurers. Go ahead and give us a visit. Feel free to leave any comments or saying something in the chat while we're hosting this live. And yeah, so take it away, Juicy. Our 10th episode.
I am so happy that we played this game together. I remember seeing this game about a few months ago, and then right after Black Friday, I think this went on sale. I was like, fellas, we have to play this game. First, it has a great story, apparently. It has really interesting gameplay. I think we all are pretty in tune with like tactics, and apparently there's a tower defense game. And then it got anime, especially some beautiful anime women for IDK. So I think it checks all
Oh
the
yeah.
check marks for all of us. So really happy that we played this game. Um, since this is our first official game review, rating this game out of 13 fried chicken sandwiches, how many fried chicken sandwiches would this be?
I'd say I I'd
I'm
probably
going.
give it 11. No, I'd say I'd eat 10 sandwiches. I'd start my 11th one, and then I'd feel and then I would just like get heartburn, and then I would only eat half of it, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm done. So I would say probably 10 and a half chicken sandwiches.
I'm going to up the ante and say it's going to be 12.
Oh wow.
12
Oh,
chicken sandwiches.
oh
Not
my.
Okay.
13. It's,
Okay.
it's that delicious. You just keep eating and eating and eating, and then finally you run out of chicken sandwiches.
So the
Because
funny
the
thing
13th one was just a minute.
So the funny thing is, I got this game first. It came in the mail first, and then Kagros got it. And IDK, we were waiting for IDK to get it for at least a few weeks.
Oh yeah.
But funny enough,
Guess who finished
Kagros and
first?
I,
Guess who
Kagros and
finished
I
first?
started first, and IDK just steamrolls us and just finishes the game in like 2-3 days. It was very impressive.
I was pulling 12-hour days. I'd just sit down. I'd wake up, sit down in front of my computer, or sit in front of my monitor, and my poor PS4 Pro, to hear it screaming. It's screaming. Get that jet engine going. Wasn't used to being played that much anymore. Yeah. One of those games
Yeah,
I just
and
couldn't stop.
and I'm really glad that at least one of us really enjoyed this game. I think looking back, before we even started playing this game, we were watching the Game Awards, and we were surprised that this game was up for Best Narrative. We didn't know anything about it. Of course, it was robbed by Last of Us 2,
Oh yeah.
but we didn't really know why. So, now that we've all finished the game, do we consider this as a Best Narrative game? Like, I think we all agree that this should be a nominee for that category, but do we think this game got snubbed?
I got some big time for sure, dude. Like, there's no question about it.
Oh
This
yeah,
this game's narrative.
super.
The narrative for this game is, it's like S tier. Like it's S plus tier. I want to say, and like the writers for this game are really really talented. Like you know it's like during the storyboard meeting, you know the the writers are asking like, all right, what tropes you guys want to use, and the producer is like, yes, and they're like, wait, hold up, we asked you what sci-fi tropes you want us to use, and then the producer's like, yes, and then it's like, do you want time travel? Do you want alternate dimensions? Do you want cloning? Do you want AI? Producer, yes. And like
Yep.
to be able to merge all of those themes in one and not have it feel like and not really make it feel like, oh, they used, they overstretch themselves. Like that's just, it's like genius writing.
Yeah, I have to agree. There was a lot of love and work put into this game to make a story of this nature work. I mean, having 13 different characters, having all these different stories swirl around them and interconnect at random points, it felt like, and making it all fit together. Nothing felt broken or odd or misplaced. It was like, this is here for a reason. You will find out soon enough. Keep playing, keep going. You know, uh, and narratively, it should have been in the category. It should have been nominated. The fact that it was just completely ignored
No,
because
no, you mean it should have won? It was nominated.
it should have won. It should have won. It wasn't nominated.
No, it was.
Okay.
It was nominated. It was
Wasn't
nominated.
nominated. It should have won, but it didn't. I guarantee you, it's because the critics didn't play it. They said it's an anime game. We're just gonna skip it fast.
It's unfortunate, but I 110% agree with you too. This definitely belongs in S tier. I've never played any game that played like this before or told a story like this before through 13 characters. They could have done it with 5, and I would have been as impressed if they did 5,
And as
but no.
confused, right? And as confused, right?
And I guess, but I guess maybe the formula to this is that you do need that many characters to be engaged while being confused at the same time. So,
So,
um,
since we're talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
narrative, do you guys think this is more of a character-driven game, or is it more of a plot-driven game? So, to clarify more, do you believe that the characters have more power than the plot, or do you think the characters themselves move the plot, or do you think the plot moved the characters? So, like, which one is stronger? Basically, is what I'm asking. Like, do the
I,
characters let other things?
yeah, I'd say it's character based, just because based on me playing the game personally, I played certain characters because I wanted to continue their stories because I liked them more than other ones. There were points where I only played other characters because the game's like, nah, you can't move forward with this guy until you do all these other people's stories. Like, characters drove this game. You cared about what was going on in this universe because of these people you got to know slowly, 15-minute chunks at a time. Once you got to know all of them, once you progress enough in all of their stories so they all start intermingling, that's when the overarching plot suddenly becomes way more apparent, and you start caring a lot more about that. You still love the characters, but now you're like, oh, so-and-so is a part of this, so-and-so is a part of that, so-and-so is doing this while so-and-so does this. It's all interconnected, baby, and it's all important. But until that time comes, it's each individual character carrying their own little section. Kind of like they're all building a giant arc to carry the story along.
I think that's a really cool thing that IDK feels that way because I really cared more about the plot itself than the characters, and I felt like if anything, the story was plot driven than character driven. But the fact that you can feel that you like one character more than another, and you can continue playing that character for IDK. Like for myself, I played it where I want to know more about the plot and what's happening, of course, because I'm always confused. But then I'm able to jump to any character that I want to, just because I felt like that's the character I should be playing to drive the plot forward. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's such a cool thing about this game. Like you can play both ways. Pretty much, it's up to you as the player to choose how you want the story to be revealed, whether it's through a character that you like or through the plot itself.
So I definitely agree with Juicy. I think this is actually a plot driven game, but because there are 13 storylines, it can be also considered a character. If you really want it to be like that, then it can be also a character driven game too. It's basically up to how you decide to play it. I do believe that but I do think this is actually more a plot driven game. But it seems like a character driven game just because there are so many characters' perspectives that you can take. But I think for most of these characters, the plot influences them more rather than they drive the plot. I think the plot has a bigger hand, in driving the plot. But I think that's what makes this game's great is that you get to play as 13 different characters. Like you can't actually influence any of their decisions, but this is still, although it might not seem like it, this is definitely a linear game. It's just that you can move the line, you can move different sections of the line around. It's still a straight line, but you can kind of like, okay.
You're looking at a line
Yes.
parallelly through 13 characters. It gets very confusing then because they all intertwine.
Yes.
Like what IDK said.
But in the event archive, you can see the line.
And, yeah, it just dawned on me that that's chronological too.
Oh, you didn't know? You didn't realize it?
Well, the thing is that I didn't visit the event archives.
I was using
Often.
it. I was using it pretty often, trying to figure out where. Okay, I just finished this person's characters, this person's section of the story. Now we're gonna move to this person's character, and I'm like, does this happen before or after? And then after I finished it, like, all right, where was it on the timeline? Where was it on the timeline? Because there were so many events that like you think you've seen it before, but it's actually the same event, but it happens at a different time. At a different part of the timeline. So yeah.
Okay. I do want to pause on the story because obviously the story is the best part about the game. I do want to focus on kind of the weaker aspects of the game first. So starting off with the music, what is the best song in this game and why is it Seaside Vacation?
So, all right. So before we go any further, I think we haven't really done anything too spoilery, but as you can see from the screen, this red spoiler tag. Basically, if you're not at this point, if you have not played 30 Sentinels, then and you do want to play it, we recommend not watching the rest of this and then coming back after you finish playing, and then you'll understand everything we're saying. This is a game you definitely do not want to be spoiled about. You don't want to be spoiled. Actually, I think I may have said a spoiler already, kinda. But yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But this is a game you do not want to be spoiled about. Like you definitely want to play this because if you really really enjoy sci-fi, you will very much enjoy this game. Like I think the only people that wouldn't, unless you're like the most hardcore sci-fi fan where you're gonna nitpick everything, then you might not enjoy it. But like if you generally enjoy sci-fi, you're going to enjoy this game. Like, you're going to really appreciate this game. Even if you don't, I think you can still really appreciate it just because on just how skillful the writing is. So anyways, yeah, so if you don't care about being spoiled, go ahead, listen to it, and then, but the problem is, once you finish this episode, I'm pretty sure that the impact that this game will have on you, and if you decide to play it after, the impact of the game will not nearly be as great because you got spoiled. Like what we were saying, this is definitely a story-driven game. So, and story-driven games, if you get spoiled, it's not going to be as good. All right, so going back. So now that I've said the disclaimer, the spoiler disclaimer, Seaside Vacation is the best song. First of all, it's the only song. Other than the loading screen music, it's pretty much the only song. But the reason why it is the best, obviously, Battle 210. Battle 210, so good. Battle 210, best mission, best battle in the game.
It's so funny because there's a time when IDK finished the game already and Kagros was ahead of me, and Kagros said, "Oh, let me share with you what the best song is." And at that time, I didn't play 210. I'm like, there's no good song in this game yet. And then when I got to 210 and the battle happened, I heard the music. It's like, oh, this is what he was talking about. This is the song.
I didn't actually share the song in the chat, right? I don't think I shared the song in the chat.
You didn't share it.
Yeah. I messaged it to IDK directly. I like how you knew immediately what the best song was. After you start 210, you know, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a legit actual song modeled after like an 80s style, pop idol music from back then in Japan, and it feels good to listen to, and it certainly impacted that level. made it feel a lot more real. Like you were caring about these characters, and then this battle happens, and it's like this song starts playing. You're like, some serious shit, man. Some serious shit. We're in this, man. We're in.
IDK, have you watched Macross before? Macross Frontier?
Oh, not Macross Frontier. My history of Macross is a little hazy because before I knew about Macross, this is before college, I picked up Robotech. For anyone out there who doesn't know what Robotech is the Americanized, bastardized version of Macross, the original 3 series. It's basically the same anime, but they cut a lot of stuff and they changed the names and everything. But it does have the whole space, late 70s, early 80s idol vibes. And I got a lot of that from this song and the character who sings the song. I'm like, hey man, this is like a throwback to Robotech, man. You got your singing idol singing for you while you battling giant mechs across the city. Good throwback.
Yeah, the music was definitely a weak point, but that song definitely redeemed itself. Going to the next, weaker aspect of the game is obviously the gameplay itself. What I mean by gameplay is the actual fighting, where you're fighting with mechs against kaiju. In this game, they're called daimos. What did everyone think about it?
Nah, it's just repetitive, dude. The same. It's spam
sentry
gun.
A slog. It's a slog unless you do the objectives. That makes it a little more challenging. Because I play on casual mode. There's 3 difficulties: casual, normal, and I think hard or challenging, whatever it was. And I play on casual mode. I just want to get through it. I want to do the story. I didn't really care about the gameplay. So my experience with vanilla games has always been the gameplay is very grindy, very repetitive. You just go and look at Olin Sphere or Muramasa, Two Blades, or Dragon's Crown. Good God, Dragon's Crown. You're replaying the same levels over and over to get to a new spot where you can check a new item to get a new story plot point. And they basically took this game and separated it out. You have your plot that you actually want to enjoy, and your gameplay that's repetitive, and you just do it over and over. And they actually added story bits to the gameplay. And depending on your difficulty level, you might have to replay levels over and over to beat them, or you can just simply stroll right through them. I chose to stroll right through them. And at first, it was kind of boring. But then eventually, challenging yourself with the objectives, like, oh, I need to use these characters I've never used. Or I need to be in a certain, there's only 4 characters. It does get a little entertaining. That being said, I definitely would agree. It's not the main focal point of the game. It's probably the most disappointing point, especially considering it's vanillaware and they have these beautiful graphics of the mechs and of the demos. And when you're playing the gameplay element, you don't get to see them. Except for a little tiny square that pops up showing you what your move is going to do. That's it. Oh wow, there's the mech shooting rockets! And it's just on loop. I would have wanted to have seen that on the actual map, but I understand why they didn't, because that would have been a much bigger and harder game to build, graphics-wise.
Yeah, I think first impression when I was watching a review of this game was that I thought this would be more of a tactics game, where you're kind of like Fire Emblem, and maybe you get to see cutscenes of the mechs fighting against the kaiju. I thought it was going to be like that, but
like Super Robot Wars, yeah.
So I do understand why people call this a tower defense game, because what Kagros says, you just set up sentry guns and you're good to go.
And
interceptors.
Remember who told you about interceptors, bro?
I mean, we would have figured it out. Come on, you would have figured it out.
You would have figured it out, but I gave you that.
IDK, come on, it's so obvious, man. IDK is so obvious, dude. Come on. You don't need to tell us missile rain is the best skill, is the best attacking move in the game, dude. Come on, man. Come on, missile rain, dude.
Giant missile. at max rank, like a quarter of the map blows up from one missile.
You know, when I was playing it, I was having a pretty bad time with it, and I was asking IDK while we were playing, and IDK was already done. I was asking him like, dude, the gameplay really sucks. Like, I'm really bored. And IDK suggested, oh, just play casual. You know, just pass by it. You know, trophies aren't dependent on it. But you know me, like, I still love a challenge, and I don't want to play casual. Not because it's casual for sake of being easy, but like, I just want a challenge. But then, once Kagros, I think you were almost done, and then I asked you to like, hey, like how should I go about the gameplay? And for you to recommend, you know, upgrading to like the best abilities to +8. I think for some reason that made the game a lot more fun because now I was trying to be as OP as I could be and try to finish the game as fast as I could. So for some reason it was actually kind of fun after you guys told me some tips. So I don't know. I was trying to figure out why that became more fun.
Well, you can
I felt like yeah.
you can customize your units. I think that's also the supposed to be the fun part of it. You know, you can customize units to do what you want them to do. But the problem is, like I said, sentry guns and interceptors are so OP for most of the game that literally, if a character has sentry gun or interceptors, they're basically their whole job is just to churn out EP and churn out those units, and that's it. And then you have Nenji-kun running around with Demolisher Blade, killing the
Hmm.
like the you know the things with like hella high armor, right? That's it. Like that's all it is for basically like I want to say for like 29 missions, and then finally 310 hits you, and it didn't work for me. Yeah, I tried spamming sentry guns and interceptors, but it wasn't enough because the boss, or first of all, that level spawned it kept spawning waves and waves and waves. And the boss keeps hitting you with an EMP, which drains all your EP, drains most of your EP from your units. So like I'm sitting there defend, trying to charge EP for more sentry guns and more interceptors, and the guy also has anti-air flares too. So if your interceptors fly into them, then they just die. So and then like
Yeah.
I tried to send my I think I used Sekigahara. I send him to the boss, and then right when you get next to the boss range, the boss does an like AOE attack around him that basically like nearly kills him. And then like if you try to retreat and you know and or if you've gotten lucky, then he does it right after you move, so that you're sitting there waiting for it to take an action, and next thing you know he's dead, and then I have to restart the mission because well he died.
So what you're describing, I never had that experience. Like I think with the final mission, I remember the waves, and that's about
No,
it.
it's not the
Like the
final
never
mission. Not the final. I'm
the
talking about 310.
yeah, the one that has like a never-ending wave, right?
No.
Of
310 is not the. That's the final. That's the final. That's area 4-1. No, I want to say 4-1. That's the high school. The 310 is the second to last level. There's
oh
there's
oh
High Walker EX,
yeah
and
yeah yeah
so in that one there are still waves coming at you. Like after you kill everything, there's like two, like every so often like two groups of like small ships come from from the left and right side of the boss, and then they move towards your base. So you still need to get rid of those guys while trying to kill the boss. So
gotcha
and
gotcha.
like it wasn't the problem was that the boss kept saying out EMPs that kept draining my EP. So
Mm.
I couldn't keep up the sentry guns and interceptors, and then like only way to beat him then is to send a Gen 1 unit with Demolisher Blade and try to kill him. But when you get close, then he does his stupid AoE move or whatever it is. I don't know what it is. And then suddenly, like, hey, where does health bar go?
All right, are we done with the gameplay? Are we ready for the story? Are you ready to shit on the story?
Hey man, I'm
I'm
just telling
act-
you. I'm saying, we spent all game thinking about sentry guns, interceptors are the best in the game, and then I have to disagree at the last level. Missile rain is all you need, dude.
oh yeah, Mr. Ray.
Missile rain. Sentry guns don't have anything on missile rain on the last level when you have hordes and hordes of kaiju coming at you. Like you have Natsuno on one side, and then Miura on the other side. All right, and then missile rain one side, missile rain the other side, and then you got Nenji-kun doing assassination duty on the back line. So yeah.
It's really interesting that you guys actually use those melee units because I didn't use those guys at all. I only used interceptors, sentry, spammers, and then long range rockets. Like I used Natsuno and Tomi. And it was always like homing rocket there, homing rocket here, homing rocket there, giant missile there because there's a huge crowd coming my way. Like launch rockets all over the place. Have sentries all around the main sphere or main tower. The enemies couldn't even come near.
I think on normal the enemies have higher stats, so actually missile rain usually only kills the small units for us, which is enough for the most part. But yeah, I think they have more higher stats, so it's a little different.
Hey, man. A giant missile, OP. Giant missile.
It is OP. It is OP.
Giant missile is pretty good.
On the last level, the super giant missile, or whatever it is. That one is pretty good when they found a bunch of armored unit or they have a bunch of armored big giant units next to each other. Then you can take them all out with one missile.
I mean, you can use the meta skill too, where you suck everyone into like a gravity well.
Ah, yes.
Use gravity well into one area and then launch the missile. Yeah. The PS4 lagged when that happened. The screen shakes and like lags.
I mean,
it just starts loading.
Missile Ray lags it too on the last mission, right?
It's just any time where like a whole bunch of things die and all the little sparkly effects come on the screen, it's like, no, don't die! I still need you. I think we can move on to story now.
All right, one question. Why Aegis Rim? Where does the rim come from?
I mean, Aegis is a shield, right?
No, I mean, so Aegis is definitely from Project Aegis, right? That's the thing.
The operation.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised about that there, but I don't know. Are they trying? I think it's a play on Pacific Rim.
Is it? Aegis Rim?
I mean, that became my mind too, but like, I don't know. If I thought Aegis was like a shield, so it's round, so you're gonna have a rim on it or something.
No,
I guess.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that I don't know. I don't know why Aegis Rim for sure. 13 Sentinels is obvious, because there's 13. 13
It's just a stupid question.
Yeah.
But all right, we got.
I mean, I didn't even think about it. I'm like, yeah, Aegis plan. Okay.
Japanese games, they like to have weird titles.
I know.
358
so
and
many
a half
subtitles. 358 divided by 2.
Yeah, dream drop distance, baby.
3D.
Remind.
Remind me to not play this game. Anyways, going back to 13 Sentinels, best character storyline. Did you guys have any favorite characters while playing this game?
So let's not get confused. Favorite characters and favorite character storylines are two different. I think are two separate questions.
Storyline.
Yeah,
so
we're talking strictly about storyline.
And what I mean more specifically is playing the characters and playing through their story. Like, okay, so for example, I thought Nenji's storyline was really interesting, because you're kind of stuck in this time loop. So you're playing the same scenarios over and over again, and Nenji, as you keep playing, is aware of this time loop. So even though you're playing the same scenarios, there's a lot of branches you can take, and Nenji's very well aware of those changes. So I thought that was really fun.
So the one thing I didn't like about this game, since we're talking, was the fact that it's the illusion of choice, the illusion of the branching timelines. Because I think other than Juro's, like his initial storyline, even though it looks like it's a branching, you have different options. You don't actually have different options. Usually most of them was that you play from top to bottom, right? You're forced to play top to bottom. So I think Nenji's storyline, I got a lot of Source Code vibes from that game. I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie Source Code, but it's very similar, where the main character is put in a time loop to basically try to save to stop something from happening. So at the beginning of the time loop, Nenji was told that he had to save Tomi, right? And then obviously it kind of devolves from that. But definitely I definitely got a lot of source code vibe from his story. But I think probably the oh man, I gotta think about this. IDK, if you wanna hop in on here.
Yeah, sure. I actually have a couple I really like. Okay, so first off, I keep saying it. Best character for me, Tomi.
No,
The best.
we're talking
The
about
best.
storyline. We're not talking about best character yet, Mr. IDK.
That's the thing, though. Her storyline is what made me like her. Originally, I didn't really like her character because, the pigtails is like whatever, pretty stereotypical.
A little
But
bratty.
learning her background, a little bratty, a little annoying. But learning her story, going through it, and sort of like sympathizing with her. It's like, imagine if we got shot back to like 1985 and you're used to like 2025 and you have like the internet, smartphones, all this cool tech. You get shoveled back in time. And you got to deal with all this low tech and everyone being kind of dumb about it. No internet? Oh God, no internet. It made her kind of endearing to me. It just made me want to play her story more and more. Figure out like more of how she's surviving in the past, being someone from so far in the future. Neji, obviously, Groundhog Day, loved the time loop, loved how that whole thing played out. My one critique with that is it meant that he couldn't really be in anyone else's stories. He kind of like has limited screen presence in other people's stories. He randomly will show up for a little bit and then he vanishes. Whereas a lot of the other characters tend to interact more with each other because he was stuck in that time loop. I think the only one who really shows up a bunch in is Tomi, so that's why I ended up liking him too.
Yeah.
They're always together.
I was gonna say the ending. Was it the ending of Tomi? Was the beginning of Nenji's storyline?
Yeah.
It was really
they're
cool.
talking.
Yeah.
And as he's like talking, he's like, "What the hell's going on?" Like that was pretty cool. I think who else did I like? I like Not Snow because she's a nerdy track girl. Whose story about aliens was kind of cute. You're like, aliens? Really? That was the things going on? Like, if you know pieces from other stories, you're like, this girl is such an idiot. But apparently she's Dr. Space or something. Like, she was adorable. And her story, she goes all over the place. She was in a bunch of people's stories. And she goes all over the place. And I thought it was good, too. Like, I think least favorite. I will admit I saved Kikihara towards the end. Like his character really didn't jive with me, and playing his story really wasn't that interesting.
Wait, who?
Like Kikihara.
Oh, Sekigahara. Okay, yeah. The amnesia story.
Amnesia assassin dude. Like, yeah, it should be interesting, but to me, it just felt kind of like meh. But I mean, eventually you have to play him, and so you just keep going, and eventually it does get interesting. But he kind of falls into the same pit as like Iori. It's like, oh, okay. I don't really care about your character. I'm just doing this to figure out about other characters.
All right.
I think I like Goto more than him.
So
Kagros.
For me, with regards to story, I like Juro's the best. I think he has the best storyline. Just his interacting with Shiba, I think, carries it through. So like, the problem with Juro's story, that why I don't think that have an impact for most people, is that it's split up. Like Juro's story is mostly done at the beginning, and then towards the back end of it. So, but I do think I like his story. I like his storyline the most. With just in regards to the parts of the story where you play as him. So, the realization that Shiba isn't real, you play like, I think the first half of the story is you assume he's real, and then for the second half you realize that he is not. And obviously Best Girl is the one that points it out to Juro that there's no one actually there, right? Right? So
Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Who are you talking to? There's nobody there.
Yeah. So it's definitely I like this. I like Juro's the best, because I think that the contrast between the two halves of his story is really good, and then his interaction with Shiba, especially towards the end. And for me, my least favorite one, I'd have to say is Iori. I think it's just because Iori, you finish her story like super early, right? She's the first one done. She's the first one done. Her
Hmm.
story is pretty unremarkable. It's literally, hey girls, what you want to eat? I like that, right? I like eating food, but literally that's her storyline. It's like, all right, what are we gonna eat? What are we gonna eat? I want to get the parfait. I want to get the crepes. I want to get the shoot.
Ikuman,
Yeah, I want to get all of that stuff. Like I want
the
to eat
hot
it too,
dog.
but how does this relate to the story? So like she's the first one done. Like she's done at her story's completed when the remembrance is like at maybe 50%. It might even be lower if you based on how. So yeah, her I don't. What was her story too? It was just like remembering her dreams. Was that her story?
Because she keeps getting these dreams to keep her up at night. She doesn't know what's going on. And then she figures out the memories.
Yeah. Shoot.
Are the dreams or memories implanted from the nurse or something?
Yeah, who knows? Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So,
she has the worst storyline. But the problem with her storyline, like I said, literally, is because its finish is so early. That's the problem with her storyline. So there's not much depth to it to begin with. Because
I
by the time
mean,
you finish your storyline, there's still a bunch of unanswered questions. Like for
I think,
most of the characters, when you finish your storyline, you get something answered, right? But hers, you get
yeah,
nothing because it's so
and
early.
I think the thing with her for me was I saved her. I like you say like people complete her first, or maybe you're expected to
You're
because she's like
supposed to.
unlocked.
You're
I didn't.
mm.
She's one of the last ones I did. Like until the very like when people were all locked out and you had to beat everyone else, I finally went to her and went through her storyline. So everything else pieced together better for me than someone who would just play through her and like rush her story. But you remember I remember the sequence where like you have to get the cat treat for the cat. Like, oh, there's a kitty.
Oh
Give
Oh
me a
yeah.
my
treat.
Oh
god.
my
I got
gosh.
Oh
sucked
my
in for
god!
so
I had to almost threw my
long.
controller at the wall because every single time I fucked it up. Sorry, I had to curse. I fucked it up, and I had to go through the whole fucking dialogue tree again to get to the sewer part where the cat comes back. And I'm like, oh, move. So I turned back. I want the prompt for treats to pop up, and it wouldn't pop up. So I moved one step forward. Cat disappeared.
Freaking Shintaro, dude.
That
I
was
was
the worst.
enraged. I was enraged at that. I was like, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is the worst. I got to work, and I was like, oh, please never do this again.
So yeah, I that's Iori's my least favorite character as well. Specifically because of the cat thing. Thank you, IDK. And then thank you, Kagros, for just pointing out that there's nothing happening in her storyline. So anyways, I don't want to dive into who the best character should be, because we'll get to that later. Forgot to mention that after we talk about the story, we're gonna have a tier list for all the characters in this game. Major, minor, very minor characters. Maybe even best characters in this game.
That,
But
that
we'll talk
that's
about that afterwards.
that's what everyone's
Um,
here for, man. They're just here for the tier list. I'm telling you. That's what
they are here for tier list,
they're only
but
here for the tier list. They ain't here to listen to us.
I gotta milk it. We're still gonna talk about the story just for a little bit. One thing I liked about the story is you're confused constantly, in a good way. Like you're confused, but the story's leading you on. You're slowly discovering new information about the story, about the plot. So as you guys were playing through this game, did you guys have any suspicions? Like any thoughts? Any like critical moments where you thought maybe one person was a bad guy, or like, in the game you find out that possibly these main 13 characters have alter egos, or like future selves where they're much older. So did you guys have any thoughts about like what it, I don't know, where the story could have led to?
Well, me and you, we discussed about Shiba, right? I think you definitely brought it
Yeah.
up first, right? So Shiba not being a real person, and then once
Yeah.
you mentioned that, I was like, yeah, you're right, because literally no one is addressing Shiba at all. So that's something that you caught on pretty early. For me, I thought Tetsuya Ida was the one that I guess correctly that he was the antagonist, right? He was the one that that basically caused the Deimos, because he's got the he's got the he does, and then like it turns white here,
The
right? He does
glasses.
this, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
so like that's a classic villain pose. Um, for the cat Fluffy, I was trying to spend most of the game trying to figure out who he was. I was like, who could he be? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like who? Like what character can he? Like who's left? Right? Like who's like? Because like after you figure out that Miyuki is actually Tomi, the AI Tomi, right? But then you're like, all right, who's left? Like who can like Fluffy somebody, but who is he? And then you find out that he's actually Shiba. He's 426, right? And I'm like, okay, that I guess that makes sense, right?
Mm.
And then yeah, and then like I think it's mostly trying to figure out like, oh, what's Fluffy trying to do? Like, is he actually a good guy or a bad guy? I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's a good guy, even though he's hella shady, right? Like, I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure, but I wasn't exactly sure. Um, yeah, I honestly can't say about any of the theories that I had because um, most of the stuff would be answered like right when you raise the question, right when you start realizing it. That the problem is that the answers to your questions are usually given to you like shortly after you ask the question to begin with, right? And like the whole and then like the little Chihiro, like you can see her on the screen next following Gota, right? They're like, who the hell is this little girl? I haven't seen her. I haven't seen her, and then you realize, oh, because after you play Nenji, when Iori changes to the little girl, like, oh, it's another Iori. We have Doctor Iori.
Yeah.
We have Doctor Chihiro, and now we have little Chihiro, and now we have what like Nani, like what?
Yeah,
Everyone's Iori, right? Everyone's Iori.
when you see the
So I think
similarities.
there's a moment in the story where it gets really confusing where there's a mentioning of 426 who is like kind of labeled as the bad guy,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of conflicting perspectives on who 426 is. Like you have Shinonome saying that A is 426, and then you're playing as A and he's trying to figure out who he is, and then you have like Fluffy, right? And then you have Jiro, Izumi, and you're like, okay, like who's the bad guy? Because I really don't know who the bad guy is. I
I
I felt like that question wasn't answered till much later. Well, maybe that's kind of like the main plot to begin with. Like who's trying to ruin the plan of human salvation. But like the
well,
question is,
so
what
so
is this
so
plan in the first
so
place?
the thing is, the question about human salvation doesn't actually really come up. Literally, most of the game is just how do we stop the Deimos, right? That's literally the how do we stop the Deimos. It's not about the human salvation thing. We don't find out until like the very very end, where you find out that humanity is all dead, all wiped out, right? And I think we spend most of the game trying to. For me, most of the game I was trying to. All right, who's behind the kaiju? That's what I wanted to know, right? Who's behind it? And then I correctly guessed that it was Ida. Ida was the one behind the Deimos. And then we also got the explanation of how the Deimos came to be. They're not actually aliens or kaiju. Actually, they're just machinery that's been reprogrammed to basically level the Earth, right? Um, but yeah, for me, it was just like, who's behind the Deimos, and everything else. It doesn't really matter. Like I didn't really care about anything else.
I think for me the biggest question was, and like Kagros said, did get solved pretty quickly afterwards. It was like, who sabotaged the Sentinels at that big pivotal battle where like they were holding back the Demos, and, which in like second loop I think it was. They had that cutscene where they're battling, and all of a sudden all the Sentinels start going offline or haywire, and they have to warp them away to save them. It's like, if you look at the mini map, like the little thing, the little chart, the war chart, they were winning. They were like actually had a big green line. They're pushing them back, and then all of a sudden, one sentinel goes offline, and another one, and then the whole line crushes and falls. I'm like, that touched the sentinels.
All right, so let's talk about that. So this confused me. Like, so Ida was the one that sabotaged him, right? He was literally the one that was behind the Sentinel infection, right?
Yes, I believe so. He's the one that gives it to Shinonome and tells her to do the upgrade to the Sentinels. He's like, they're not using their full power. Chihiro doesn't want them to use their full power. Install this for me. Like, I know you can do this.
So
And so then she,
So why did he want the Deimos to win? Did he want to force the reset at that point?
I think it was, it might have something to do with Tommy. There's like, because he's in a lab in the future and he's like trying to build her a new body. And I think he decides that when she rejects his plan to put her into a human body, he's like, I should just reset it all and do it again. And then put her into a human body this time instead of putting her in
So
the
he was
android.
trying to force a reset.
He was trying to force everything to reset again. Something like that, I think.
But I don't get it. Wait, when I didn't know Ida was behind the Deimos. I thought the Deimos were kind of like the whole like virtual
No.
story plot, but
No.
So-
The Dynamos were because of the character we haven't brought up yet. Tsukasa? Was that his name?
Okino?
Yeah, Okino. Yeah, Okino. That's because Okino in the real world was a brilliant programmer but skimped on code and so implanted an old ass game as part of the code for the environmental setup.
Yeah, but that's
don't worry
the
about
virtual side of things. Like, no one actually wanted the Deimos to be like unleashed and fight, and invade all the sectors, right?
No, I don't think anyone intended for the demos to be like the end of it. It was just they were conveniently going haywire for some reason.
So
Either just
So
wanted
they were
to
going
say
haywire
so
because Universal Control was programmed to not see them
Ignore
as a
him.
threat,
yeah.
which
Who
was
did that?
because of the code.
So in
It's
terms
Okino, right?
of Ida spreading the like malicious code, it's not actually
Yeah.
malicious because the code itself was to unlock the potential of the Sentinels to be able to upgrade, and that's why Okino
Oh no
wanted to spread the
The
code.
Sentinels, no that was bullshit. He was saying he knew exactly what he was doing. It was definitely he was trying to shut down the Sentinels, and then basically turn them into homing beacons for the kaiju to come to the next place. The upgrading thing was done by 426. The actual
Not
upgrading to
Okino?
Sentinels was done by 426. Fluffy was
Wasn't it both 426 and Okino, wasn't it? Because Okino discouraged you upgrade
yeah, no.
stuff.
So 426 is the one that floats the idea to Okino, and he does this in the final loop, in the very very last loop. So this is very very recent. So and that event that the idea he was talking about, the infection event, it happened like a loop ago or something like that, right? It wasn't in this.
Yeah, it was like loop 2.
It was a different loop, completely different loop.
It wasn't this.
So that was my question. It was like, why did he set like he wanted to force a reset for Tomy, right? Like that's why he wanted to reset it. And in that loop too, Chihiro wanted to prevent loops from happening. Was that what she wanted to do with Aegis?
The Aegis system was to completely seal off
The kaiju.
their world from Universal.
Because she knew from Universal Control that it wasn't going to loop again. Like
Yes.
it's at its brink. So that's why
She wanted to stop the looping.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't
So the only way to do it
about
was seal
stopping
off.
the looping, but then it was also like even if they tried to loop again, it wouldn't loop.
Yes, yeah.
It would reset the hardware, whatever has critical limits. It would just reset to blank or whatever. Everyone would just disappear. So by going to each terminal and activating the Aegis, you would shut that terminal off completely from Universal Control, which then meant the Demos couldn't invade and trigger a reset.
Mm-hmm, right.
By completely cutting off Universal Control, they could keep themselves safe in their ruined world. And everyone's like, but by doing that, everyone we know and love disappears or dies in the process. So
this game
There's a
is
flawed
still
plan.
confusing even for us, right? This game is still confusing even from us. Clearly, since we were talking about this, and there's no wiki
Really
to look
hard
this
to get
stuff up
this
either.
first.
There's no wiki to look this stuff up.
The one thing I did want to bring up as a suspicion was that I thought at one point A Sekigahara was a clone of Mira because of how like
Um,
how I guess coupled they were in their storyline. Because I thought at that time Izumi or I thought Karabe was a clone of Izumi and Fuyusaka to Morimura,
Mm.
so on and so forth. Um, but yeah, I think and any shockers in this game, like in the story, like one shocker was I was glad that there's a relationship that's not, you know, between a male and female, like just having Hijiyama and Okino.
Mm.
I was like, yes, like okay, all right, best relation,
I mean,
best romance.
I mean, I mean, for the record, there are 13 of them, right? So there are 6 couples among that 13, right? So obviously the odd man out is either going to be paired up with one of the other 2 characters, right?
Hmm.
Or he's going to be paired up with Yakisoba Pan,
he
right? Like,
got
come on,
both.
so like, so it kind
He
of,
got both.
yeah.
He got both.
You got both. You
Uh,
got he's got his harem. He's got his harem.
I mean, in the past, like the real versions of them were in love. I mean, yes, it was a gay relationship that worked. It was believable. Like, yeah, I can see that happening. And then, of course, the ending of the game is like, oh, this is a virtual world. I can change myself to be whatever I want to be. He's like, oh. It's like, oh, I see. I see. You're gonna play it so that everyone wins in the end.
I didn't
Oh,
really have anything that was too surprising, other than the normal plot twist when you find out that like most of the stuff I was surprised about was just like the plot twists, right? And it was just me.
Timeline.
What?
What was the plot twist?
No, just like the normal plot twist, like oh, in each story, right? There's a plot twist in every single story, like oh this is we're not actually time traveling. We're just teleporting between the different neighborhoods in the different districts in this neighborhood, right?
Hmm.
Things like that, and you know.
we're on a spaceship floating through space, and it turns out we're thousands of years in the future.
Oh no, actually, it turns out we're actually in a virtual simulation.
Millions.
Yeah.
Okay, I need an explanation because the last playthrough of the game, I was playing 8 hours straight. I was delirious. So I need to understand the story. So okay, so they stopped the Dimos. They're activating all the Aegis, all the terminals, and then Inaba does something to like rewire what and what.
She resets the mainframe and makes it so that Universal Control has to realize that the demos are actually a problem.
Yep.
It has to deal with that. It has to deal with it, otherwise, like it's going to disappear. And so that's why she takes like 3 days to do it. And then, uh,
And then as a
once she,
result, they finally wake up as well.
yeah, Universal Control finally wipes out the demos, fixes the problems, allows them to graduate virtual high school
Yep.
and emerge into the real world.
Yep. Yeah. IDK explains it perfectly.
How do you guys feel about that? Just how it turned out to be.
I mean, like I think we discussed this before, but oh man, the it was all a simulation slash dream was such a cop out. It was such a cop out. Like
It's a cop out, but I loved it because it was like, it was the big mindfuck part was like, the Sentinels. This is a huge spoiler. So you've been watching this and thinking, oh, well, this isn't so bad. This is a huge fucking spoiler. You better turn on right now. When you go in the Sentinels and you see them in the cockpits, that's not a cockpit. That's their breeding tube. That's where their actual bodies are being stored and grown. And every time they failed the loop, their bodies were melted down for the resources. They could be regrown again from scratch. That was like, dang.
this
Dang.
this the simulation I think was unnecessary. They did not have to use. They should not have used that plot loop because it invalidated so much of all the tropes that they used. Like the biggest one for me is that if they're in a virtual sim, There is literally no reason for them to have city limits. The city limits, right? There's no reason to keep them in that 30-kilometer cage, right? The simulation could have easily generated, things beyond that. There was no reason. That plot point was totally useless, right? And
I mean,
then, and they could have actually had time travel. They could have actually had time travel if there was a simulation. They should have just, instead of saying, "Oh, it's basically 5 districts." You set up 5 districts. What's the point? Like, you can actually do a time travel thing in the simulation, right? There's no actual point.
I mean, it was just a red herring, I guess, at that point. It's like, oh, there's a city limit to our city, and there's reality. Oh, we're time traveling, but the time travel things that happen don't seem to affect each other. So maybe it's alternate realities. Like, it was just all about making you think this was time travel. This was alternate realities. This is, an artificial space. Yeah, it was to trick you into thinking it was all those. To never consider it's a computer simulation. And it's not till the very end when they start revealing little bits and pieces where it's like, wait a minute, this could only work if this were in a computer. And it's like, wait a minute. Are we in a simulation? Don't tell me we're in a simulation. We're in a simulation.
The worst.
Yo.
I mean,
for real?
They're so good at writing. There was no point. They could have made it. They definitely could have done it, and it wasn't actually a sim. I think it would have been a lot better if that they defeat the kaiju and then they wake up in this real world and it's their job to rebuild it. Like, I think that could, like, they could have even done the reveal that, oh, by the way, you're actually the only living people in this, and then it's all holograms or something like that, and everyone else is just controlled by a computer that sits at the UFO, right? They could have done that too.
Which they did already. At one point, they're like, well, we're the only ones that are real, in a way. Like, Miwa-chan isn't real. Like, she's just from Universal Control. She's just an AI.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's an AI.
Yeah.
Ultimately. Right? It's just that those 13 have the ability to control the Sentinels and fight back. But, totally agree. I think, I think with that, and any last words before we get into the best part about this podcast?
I'm just saying, like, if you are a fantasy writer or sci-fi writer, do not ever use the stupid "this was just a sim" trope. Like, that trope, I feel like, is the worst trope you can use when writing. Like, it is absolutely the worst. Like, it's all a cop out because basically it means nothing matters. I don't think I've seen, or so specifically what I mean is that that's not your big twist. You should never make that your twist. I've seen where it could, like source code, that thing was all simulation, but I think that movie was a sim, but it's a sim. It's a sim, and it's on a time loop. So, like, that one is that I think that's a good way of using it. But if you're big surprised that, oh, you're in a sim, get that weak sauce out of here. Get that weak sauce out of here. Don't ever do that. One thing that I actually am kind of surprised is that there was no traitor in the 13. There wasn't a traitor in the 13. So I was very surprised by that. I thought, like, one person is going to be the unreliable narrator, and then or something like that, and then you realize that they're actually a bad person. Like,
well, I think there's moments in the story where you don't know if they're traitors or not, like
Sekigahara,
Megumi,
right?
and Sekigahara too.
Yeah.
No, Megumi. I thought it's like, oh, I really hate this character because she's just like shooting everyone up, and you don't know why. You just don't know why.
No, you know why. It's because the cat told her to.
Yeah, but of course, right. But that's true.
I mean, there was that part. There was a part where, like, Shinonome, like, poisons the Sentinels. I'm like, damn, this bitch is crazy for Ida. Like, I didn't like her at that point. I was like, man, these weird schoolgirls don't have teachers. And why do they have to put one in my story? I don't want this. Shoot.
All right, yeah. I'm good with moving to characters now. I got a lot to say about characters.
The only thing I gotta say, one thing that really spooked me with this game, that jump scared me, was in the Juro route, when you confront Shiba, Shiba goes, oh, I'm gonna have to erase your memory so you don't remember this because you're getting too uppity. There is a fork where if you just stay in the classroom and don't do anything, he pops out at you, says, gotcha! And, like, erases your memory and resets the time loop right there. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting the war factor. I was sitting there like trying to figure out where I'm going to go. All of a sudden, gotcha. I jumped out of my seat. I got so scared. I'm like, whoa, man, where the hell did you come from, man? Shit. And literally the next loop, as I was playing through, I ran to that door exit to get out. I was like, oh, I don't want to get jumped again. So, I like that. Let's move to the ranking.
Yeah, no last thoughts. Still a good game. I think moving forward, for Vanillaware to make another game, I hope they use this as a foundation. I think you can really tell great stories with this narrative style. I think I brought this up with you guys where, is there a difference between a game that's really good in narrative versus a game that has a really good story? Because I do feel like at the end with the cop out of a virtual simulation, I think the story itself kind of lost its points, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think the narration of the game was really strong in just how it was told
Mm-hmm.
through the 13 characters. So I really hope they continue, kind of making more games under this genre of, or not genre, but this way of telling stories.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The narrative in this game, the storytelling in this game was definitely that's why it made it really amazing because it's still a linear story, but you get to build the arrow. That's you get to build the arrow yourself, right? And you're jumping around and you're trying to piece together everything. I think the way they told the story was definitely it was amazing. And like I said, just the fact that they were able to juggle so many, basically use every single sci-fi trope. They used all of them, and they were able to make a story. Like I'm pretty sure they pulled up TV tropes in Japan. They pulled up GP tropes, and then went to sci-fi and said, "All right, we're gonna use all of them. Like just highlight them, paste them in the doc. All right, make sure all of these are used. Right? That's literally what they did. Like maybe that's why they went with the sim. Right? Maybe that's why they're like, it's a trope. We have to do it. We have to do it. And then they're like, and then like a writer's like, no, are you serious? Like, it's gonna make. And like it's like the producer said, I want all the tropes. I want all of them, all right? We get a bonus. The more tropes we use, the bigger our bonus.
We're putting on virtual reality. That way all this can exist, and when we're tired of it, we cut it all out. Just, done. Virtual reality.
All right, let's get to it, Kagros. You know what to do. Pull it up. I'm ready.
Let me pull up the. Let me see. I think I have it. All right, let me fix this up. All right. I'll leave the spoiler tag there because it's definitely spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, just let me know where you want to start, who you want to start with.
Let's start with the male characters.
All right, Mr. Sekigahara. What do you guys think? What tier he's in?
B tier.
You say B tier?
No, D tier.
D tier.
Okay.
I have him at B.
Really? You want to put him that high? I mean, I could go for a C tier.
Yeah, I can see C tier.
Okay. Yeah, like, why don't you guys like him? So I'll let you guys know. Among the main characters, the worst one I have is at C tier. I have two people in the C tier. So.
Oh, I'm using all the tiers.
I know. I have people in the D. I have people in the D tier as well. But for the main characters, I don't think they deserve to be in the D tier because I have two characters in the D tier as well. But like D tier, it's just like for me the D tier like one-dimensional characters that we don't that don't really contribute anything. So. And I think Sekigahara's story, so I guess I'm the one that is trying to float his merits. I think his story is interesting, the amnesiac story, especially that when you compare his storyline to compare it to how he acts in other people's stories, where he's like this ruthless assassin, right? But then in his storyline, he's like a completely different person. So
Yeah,
I think there is depth, which is why I put him in the B tier.
the thing is that like a lot of these characters experience some sort of insomnia in one shape or another. Like even Juro, he experiences some insomnia in the sense that
Amnesia,
he
you mean?
doesn't know
Amnesia, you mean,
amnesia,
right?
sorry, not insomnia.
Yeah.
Amnesia, where he just kind of forgets who he is just because of these conflicting memories and dreams. I feel like everyone in this game kind of struggles with that, like just trying to figure out their own identity. So,
Well, like I
um,
said, the biggest thing that for Sekigahara is the fact that the person you play as, when you play as Sekigahara, he's so much different than how other people perceive him in the other storylines, right? It's like
that's true.
it's basically
That's
two
true.
different people. He is literally the same person, but he's actually two different people.
I would for now put him in C tier, and then kind of go from there. But I agree, he shouldn't be on the D tier. Um, one quick feedback: can you click on the presentation mode for the tier maker?
Is there a presentation mode?
At the bottom.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Let me hold up. Let me reset here. Oh, I think it still looks good. It's fine. Perfect. Okay. All right. So we're gonna go to C tier, right?
Yeah. Put him in C tier for now.
Okay. All right. Izumi.
You know, just very quickly, I'm just gonna start off with Iori on the D tier.
Yes. Yes.
Just put her there.
Put her down there.
We'll
Or put
figure
her at
it
the
out
bottom.
later. But she's, you know, Kagros, you said that all the main characters are at least C tier. I'm gonna have to disagree. just just her like, you know, romance with A Sekigahara is just so stupid. Um, it's stupid. I'm sorry.
Very traditional teen romance.
All right.
Let's see.
So Izumi, or you're putting Izumi 426.
I like him a lot, but then I think the biggest red herring was the maybe it was like one loop ago or two loops ago when he kills the students. When he kills I forget, like Megumi, Shu, and who else? Juro? Is it Juro that he shoots? I forget
I
who
thought
else
you
he shoots. Tomi.
think you
He
should
shoots Tomi too, right?
call me.
And then Chihiro at the end shoots him. But I feel that was like the biggest red herring. But ultimately, I think he's A tier. Because don't forget, he's not only Izumi, but wait, is Shiba on here?
No, he's not.
He's
She was
also
on it.
Shiba,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also Fluffy. Come on, Fluffy with that jerk off voice. I played this in English, but he sounded like an asshole. So I like them.
Oh, he sounds the same way in Japanese too. Uh, yeah, actually, I got him on the flip side. As important of a character as he is to the plot, he's never really appealed to me. He's just a force of nature in the story. Like things happen because he exists. So I kind of put him in the same category as Sekigahara, C tier. Like he's there, story happens because of him, but that's literally about it. You get a little tidbit of story background about him. You see that he's sort of a tragic individual, and then there's a little redemption for him at the end. Yay! Not worthy of anything above C. He's
So,
complacent.
are you done, IDK?
That's how I.
Are you done, IDK?
That's how I put him.
Are you done? Are you done, IDK?
Sure,
Are
go
you done?
right ahead. Go right ahead.
So Izumi is my favorite character, hands down. He is the Akechi in this game. There is no question about it. You spend all game hating him. You spend the entire game hating him, and then you realize that he's actually there to save all your asses. Right? That's what he's there for. And like his personas as Shiba and Fluffy definitely really hammered that home. Because like I said, I spent all game trying to figure out who Fluffy was. Like Shiba, I actually called when I was discussing this with Juicy. I actually called that. I'm like, I think Shiba is Izumi. It's the Izumi persona inside Juro, which ended up being correct. So I think that he is a force. He is a plot device. He moves the plot forward, but at the same time, he literally saved all your asses. Like if it wasn't for him, you guys would not have the ability to fight the kaiju well, right? Because without him, they would have failed, just like they failed the previous loop, right? So like for me, and then just like you're on the train of emotion where you think 426 is actually a bad guy trying to screw you all over, right? But like the first person he shot actually was Natsuno, right? He personally shot Natsuno, right? He injected Natsuno with the code in the bathroom,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
and you thought he was actually injecting he was infecting you guys, but he actually wasn't. He was basically updating the nanomachines inside each person's body so that they could upgrade their sentinels and fight the kaiju at an even level. So 426 spent he spent basically the first half of the game as the antagonist, and then at the 11th hour, you realize that he wasn't actually antagonist. He was literally your best friend, or he was trying to save you guys, and then as well as his interaction with Shiba at Juro at the very end when Juro realizes that Shiba is actually trying to help him. Right, I think that for me that's my most favorite scene in the game. He's like, I've always been your best friend all along. Like
Hmm.
I've always
Hmm.
been your best friend all along. And then when he finally disappears, and then Juro was like, for me, 426 is the best character in the game because he's so multifaceted. Like there, you see his full story, right? He starts out in the previous loop as he's forced to kill his friends, right? And now in this loop, he wants to save them all, and the only way he can save them all is if he's an asshole, right? So
And yeah,
that's my spiel for Izumi. He is my favorite character. He is the number one on my tier list.
I agree with that. Maybe he deserves being on an S tier. At the moment, S tier is there's only room for one. So
Oh, we're only gonna do
I'm
one
just
up there.
well, I'm just gonna wait. I'm just gonna
Okay.
wait, but I would put him on A tier. Um, I totally agree with what you're saying. I also like him for the fact that he's his backstory as well, and he's part of all the loops or the timeline as well, like all the way back from 2188 to the present day. So you actually get to know him quite a bit, even though he's not a playable character.
All right, IDK, are you okay with putting him in the A tier? Is democracy gonna win here?
Mm, I mean, I'd up him to B, like almost A minus. But if there's gonna be 2v1, whatever, put him in A. I would put him at high B.
All right.
I
Okay.
didn't I didn't like him that much.
Let's compromise and put him in a low A first. Um, another character I think who belongs in the A tier who is not a playable character has got to be Morimura, right? Like she's so involved. There's many times when playing through this game, I thought, is she a good guy? Is she on our side? Like, do we really want this Operation Aegis to follow through? Like, there's a lot that she's hiding, and you know, the first scene that you play with Sekigahara is Morimura dead on
She's
the
dead.
floor. You're like, what the hell is going on? um, but I think for the same reasons as Izumi, um, slightly different, but she's very involved, and you know her quite a bit. Maybe I don't know. Any thoughts?
So first of all, the only thing that Miss Murmura is S tier in is her rack. Let's get that out of the way, right? That's an S tier rack.
I mean, she got the best. costume or best outfit in the game.
I mean, that latex outfit is not hiding anything. It's classic vanilla way design for their ladies from their other games.
But
Um,
I have her at B. She's at the bottom. She's a B minus for me. She's at the bottom of my beer because sure she's involved, but we don't actually. She doesn't get any closure. She gets killed, so you don't know actually what her end game is. You're basically told what her end game is by someone else. She doesn't tell you her end game. She literally spends the entire game being a huge mystery, and you find out through other people. And she doesn't really, to me, she doesn't have any like emotional scenes like Izumi had with Juro or Shiba had with Juro. Like, I don't really, other than the fact that she killed Izumi. I think that's probably the most emotional scene that she has. I'm talking about the assassin, latex Chihiro, right? But they're the same person anyway. But
yeah.
but I don't know. I just didn't feel anything towards her character because ultimately she gets killed off, and you can't explain her motivations. You don't hear her side of the story, and then you think that little Chihiro is actually the same person as Nurse Chihiro, but they're different. As clearly told in Renya's storyline, they are absolutely not the same person, and she's actually the OG Chihiro. The OG, the source of all Ioris. That's who she actually is. So for me, I have her as a B minus.
I actually wasn't sure where to place her. I originally put her into C because of the same points like Kagros brought up. Like, she didn't seem really that important to me. She was just sort of there. Again, as a force of nature, she's a plot point. Move on from her. But I guess there is some sort of depth of character to her due to all. I mean, you see, there's a scene where she stops Izumi from killing off all of these Sentinel pilots, and she has to kill him. There's a scene where they bomb that factory to stop the Demos production, and she sort of has to leave him behind while he's being gunned down by the gunboat. I definitely put her in B rank. I don't think she's A or S, but I definitely put her B. Where in B, I won't know until we put more characters in. But I'd put her in B.
I think Kagros made a really good point where I'm quite convinced with Kagros, explanation of why she belongs in B minus. I'm actually willing to put her in C plus.
Let's put her in the B for now. Let's put her in the B because you initially had her at A, and then IDK had her at C, and I had her at B. So I think B is a good compromise.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, I think we should just go in order. We should just go in order of this. BJ. Where are we putting the 13 Sentinels mascot here?
So cute. S tier.
Pretty important to the story for several characters' stories. Actually, for a lot of them, thinking about it.
I have him at the A tier.
And it's Mira's alternate ego from a different loop.
I have him at the A tier just because of the sheer impact he has on the story. He is literally a plot device. He's also the mascot to the game. He's definitely the mascot to the game. And then like his whole like his when he gets tasered in the bathroom, you're like, no! How could you do this to BJ? Fucking 426, dude! How could you do this to BJ? But yeah, I have him as an A tier.
I'm down for A tier.
Alright, I guess I put him low A tier, high B tier.
Yeah.
All right, do you want to put him under Drew under Drew or above Drew?
He's after Juro for sure.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. You mean Izumi?
Oh, sorry. Izumi. Yeah. Is this good?
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Okay. All right, then Juro.
B tier above Moimura. Like, you can't put him any lower because he's such a central character to the whole story, but at the same time, he has the personality of a piece of toast.
Yes.
Yeah,
No.
yes, I have to agree. So when I
And
was
it's like
doing my
he's important. Yeah,
when I was doing my tier list, I put him in the B tier, and he is literally the middle of the pack. He's number seven.
yeah, yeah.
He's number seven in on my for he's number seven among among the 13 playable characters, and I was like, all right, because like I said, I liked his storyline the best, right? But him as a character, he's an everyman. He's a blank slate, right? He's not really much of a character. He has a good storyline, but as a character, he is not a he's nothing. He's Oliver Twist. He's nothing.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Thinking about it
And
now.
and he was intentionally designed that way just because of the way the story was going. But when you start off the game and it's like you play as him, you're like, wow, this guy is the most blah dude.
He's vanilla.
He's like a
Vanilla.
blob. He's a blob of vanilla flesh, just walking around doing shit. Then he gets seasoned. He's like tofu. Like tofu's delicious when you prepare it properly, but just like leaving it by itself is like just bland. He gets seasoned by the game. By the game's end, he's a delicious piece of tofu, mapo tofu. But in the beginning of the game, he's just straight out of the package, squishy and wet.
I think he edges out Sekigahara just by a bit, but I wouldn't put him in the B tier.
I think he's
A high season.
I think he's better than
Yeah.
Chihiro, in my opinion.
No, I meant Sekigahara.
So you put him in the C tier above Sekigahara?
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
I mean, okay.
Dude, Morimura outfit, character design. You can't deny that, okay? You cannot deny that.
If we're gonna go by that, then I guess Mewtwo
I mean, we're
Inaba
going by
goes
that. She's in the S tier then, dude. She's in the S tier then. We're going by outfits.
Idol and we're on S tier.
All right, next
Yeah.
one is Miura.
Okay, when we were doing the character stuff, I totally forgot about this guy, but I absolutely love his whole. I gotta go back in time to save Japan to stop the dead Americans.
Yes, stop the damn Americans.
I need to take this weapon and stop the Americans. Stop us from losing the war. I loved his story. Loved his character. I put him in A rank.
I have him as A, but underneath BJ. Because just basically what you said, I think his story is interesting. You know, I loved seeing the World War II side from the Japanese side. You know, I thought that was interesting. And I'm gonna be honest here, him and Natsuno, best couple, dude. Best couple. Him and Natsuno, best couple.
I enjoy that couple. I think best couple is obviously best girl and Neji, but you know.
Oh, I guess. Oh, yeah, you're right. But Natsuno and Miura are okay. They're the second best then. They're the second best. I did enjoy like how Natsuno kept jumping back in time, and then Miura was like, and then runs into Miura, and then they go back to the present day together. I thought that was pretty cute. But yeah, I have him in the A tier, but under BJ.
Yeah, he's a really good character. I really enjoyed him. I enjoyed his story. I enjoyed his gameplay. I enjoyed everything about him. It was a pleasure.
I agree. A tier. Let's put him in A tier.
Where do you want to put him?
Put him next to BJ.
Before or after?
I actually think he's better than BJ.
IDK? You are the deciding
He does
vote.
have a story. Let's put him before BJ for now.
Okay.
I got.
All right.
Yeah.
Magical girl Megumi.
My personal one, I put her at top of B. So.
I have her A minus. She's the very last person on my A list. You know, while she does have an unhealthy obsession with Juro, you know, girl can wear an apron. She can wear she wears that apron with pride. She and her
I mean,
interactions
yeah,
with
she knows how to cook that.
hamburger. How does Amira say it? Hamburger.
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 Hamburger. Hamburger.
You
She
say
makes that vanilla layer.
the translator got the pronunciation perfectly.
She makes that vanillaware food they're well known for, that food you wish you could eat but you can't, and she's the one who gets to make it. There's an unhealthy obsession with churro, but she falls for the lies told by a cat. I mean,
just the fact that she listens to a cat puts her in the A tier for me. She takes orders from a cat.
that magical gun, huh? This magical gun looks very mechanical. It's very sinister. It's a magical
wand.
weapon. Come on.
Okay, I don't understand this obsession. I think she's probably like C minus, like below A Sekigahara, because all her story is, I don't want to shoot my friend, but a cat's telling me to, so I'm gonna shoot my friend, and she doesn't know what's going on to the very end. So like, in her storyline, Fluffy is the one that you want to get to know more than
Yes. Okay.
Megumi.
Yeah, you raise a good point.
So like,
you raise a good point. That's a good point.
To me, like I'm sorry, like she is cute, I guess, and like at the end she is like the Eve of Adam and Eve in a way, and like it's nice to see that she gets her wish fulfilled. Like, Fluffy pulled it through, right?
Yeah.
But then it's Fluffy. It's not Megumi. So like I think she's C minus, my opinion.
I mean, I feel her desperation in wanting to get Jiro back. Although, now that I think about it, like, the flashback scene, when you find out how, like, Megumi gets introduced to Izumi, like, that her father basically is infected with some sort of virus. And he's being forced to, like, go back out into outer space. He can't go aboard the shuttle thing. And it's like, she's like more of a daughter to the original Jiro. And now she wants to be with him. Like, it's a weird father-daughter relationship through time and space.
Stepdaughter. Let's be very clear. Stepdaughter.
It gives me old President Grover Cleveland feelings, where like he adopted a young girl and raised her to adulthood and then married her.
Oh God.
Very odd. So I guess now I remember that. That does taint her a little bit. It's cute, but it's also kind of weird. I'm willing to put her at bottom of B tier. I still think she's better than Sekigahara.
Alright,
It's just by a little bit.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Alright.
What's her next prices?
Best girl, Miwa-chan.
Talking about twists, I thought Miwa-chan was gonna be a big ass twister.
I thought so too. I was hoping. I was like, all right, we don't know shit about Miwa, and she appears everywhere. I was hoping for an 11th hour reveal that she's a very important character. Unfortunately, she's just a civilian who loves to eat, and she's got the thunder thighs, and all she wants is for a boy to love her.
She is the glue that bonds everyone with her thighs. Like, she almost appears in every storyline. She almost exposes everyone in a way. Like, why the heck are you talking to the gate? Like, there's no cat there. You moron. But
oh shit, that's right.
And then other food recommendations. Ooh, top tier recommendations.
So I actually, even though Miwa's my waifu in this game for sure, I have her at the A+. She's the highest of the A tier for me. She's not S tier for me. So just imagine.
God damn.
God damn it! I put her fucking top of C, man. Like,
at the top of C tier.
C tier. See, I do not care about Miwa at all. You guys are like Miwa. I'm like,
dude, Miwa's best girl, dude. Dude, best girl.
Oh wait,
She's the glue.
the
She,
same
dude,
way
she
Juicy felt about me,
she
I feel
moves
the
the
same way
plot.
about me.
She moves the plot.
I even originally put Mew at D tier. I was like, I did not care about this character at all. I moved up to C because I realized, yeah, she actually is pretty important. But she's just there in the background, man. I don't care about Mew at all.
You know when you're playing Tomi's storyline, right? And then Tomi gets back to 1985, and she's like, "Where's Miwa-chan?" My heart jumped. I was like, "Where is she? Where is she? Like, I need to know. I need to know."
It's true.
So, I'm willing to put her before BJ, or after BJ, I should say, in the A tier. But I'm gonna have to disagree, IDK. She does not belong in the dumpster tier.
She to put her in any tier other than A would be a disgrace.
B plus.
She
B plus. Above
Okay.
Moira.
I'm
she
I'm
is
okay
the
to
queen of
compromise.
supporting characters. She is by far the most important supporting character in the game, simply because she appears in and not only does she appear in every single story, she plays a role in every single story too. She does
Okay.
definitely plays a role in every story.
B plus, A minus. That's what I would do. Not the top of A. The last at the end of the ranking. Last place in A.
Okay, I can be okay with that.
Okay.
I can see because she's a very good supporting character, she should at least be a B plus, maybe A minus.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
I put her at the bottom of A. All right, next one. The singer of the best song, Miyuki.
A.
Wow.
C plus.
So we're putting Miyuki in the A tier, but we're putting Miwa in the C tier. What?
Actually,
What?
Miyuki-
I want to hear the rationale behind this. What?
Miyuki in my tier is S. Is S tier, baby. Miyuki's
What?
S tier.
Why?
Because I like her so much. That's
Dude,
why.
she appears literally in one storyline, and nowhere else. She appears in one storyline and in the final battle.
As an artist, she's referenced in other storylines, and she serves the pivotal point in helping them secure the last terminal and reset universal control.
That's called the plot
She's
device,
critical.
IDK. It's called the plot
I know.
device.
But she's not interesting than the other plot devices. Plus, she sings a badass song, so.
Yeah,
Oh,
just for the
oh,
song
that's fair.
alone, she's in the C tier. Where she falls in the C tier, I don't care, but she definitely belongs in the C tier.
I put her in the C tier.
B tier.
I put her in the C
B
tier.
tier. B tier.
No,
You
I'm
put
sorry,
lowest
I'm
B,
sorry,
you put the
IDK.
lowest B you want. I gotta put her B tier. Come on. Don't do this to me. You can have your Miwa in fucking A tier as long as I get my Miyuki in B tier.
Mr. IDK,
Okay.
I feel like I think me and Juicy see eye to eye on most of these characters, and then IDK is like on the other side. Like if me and Juicy do not like the character, IDK is like, dude, best character.
Okay. Hold up. I do think Miyuki's better than Megumi. So, because of that.
All right, fine. We'll put her in the B tier. Fine. We'll give ID.
I got
Democracy,
you, IDK.
everybody. Democracy wins.
We'll submit to the demands of the terrorist. Mr. IDK. We'll submit to the Emperor. IDK. It's in the name.
Hey folks, I'll be right back. I need a quick bathroom break, but
Alright, I'm gonna get
we
some
all
water.
know where Natsuno is.
I'm gonna get some water.
Very quickly.
They say we know where Natsuno is. I know where Natsuno is on my list. A tier. Almost S tier. Not quite.
I already know you're putting Natsuno in the S tier. Right, IDK?
I just told chat. I just told our viewers where I put Natsuno. They know the truth.
Where?
You'll have to wait and see.
Oh, is this going to be a surprise downgrade from IDK? Is this going to be a surprise downgrade?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because you've already said that she and Tomi are the best girls in the game. So
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I stand by that.
I have her in the S tier. I have her in the S tier. So
Sounds like you got good taste.
I really wish we did this episode sooner. I wish we did it last week instead of the fantasy league because it was so much fresher. I actually forgot most of it already, to be honest with you. How I felt about the characters.
You guys talk about it reminded me of everything, but like, yeah, I had much stronger feelings towards this. When I redone this when I finished, or like the week after I platinumed the game. I wouldn't be so eroded away after platinuming Kingdom Hearts 3. That game really wrecked my mind.
All right, so I think IDK is going to surprise us. He's already wearing his shit-eating grin about Natsuno. So I have.
When you guys left, I told the chat.
Yeah, I have her in the S tier because I think she's definitely one of the more powerful stories, or one of the more fleshed out stories, because she travels to basically all the sectors with BJ, and I think her relationship with BJ is pretty cute. And other than the fact that she's dumb, the robot tells you to you're on the track team, and the robot tells you to run, and you don't run, and you're wearing booty shorts, and you don't run, and then you see something bad happen, and then the robot tells you to run away again, and you still don't run.
Yeah, don't be hating
on
my bloomers now.
And I'm like, are you stupid? Like what are you doing? Like, the first time I can understand, but the second time when the robot tells you to run, you better GTFO, right? And because she didn't run, BJ had to get knocked out, and then she also got, like, in the end it was 426 who was actually trying to help them. But come on, you trust the robot. Why don't you listen to the robot? Anyways, still S tier for me.
Yeah, I would say she's the cutest character in terms of personality. Like, she's such a sci-fi geek. She knows everything about sci-fi. Talks about E.T., Terminator. Is she better than Izumi? I don't know.
For me, she's not. But you guys insisted on Izumi being in the A tier, so
I think is she better than Mira?
For me, yes.
This is where I will shock the world and say no. I put her A tier, right next to Mira. After her. They're right next to each other. She's better than BJ, but less than Mira. Because Mira's story just really... I enjoyed Mira more as a character than I did Natsuno, but I still really love Natsuno. So them being paired together made it perfect.
That's
two
fine.
pieces of
That's fine.
Together.
Because I do have Izumi above her as well. So I'm very surprised who's going to make it into the S tier. I'm very surprised who's going to make it into the S tier for you guys. But I already know.
You aren't going to agree with me, so it doesn't matter.
All right.
It's not Miyuki, okay?
It ain't Miyuki, that's for sure. All right, next one, best boy Nenji, S tier for me. His he acts like he's a tough guy, but all he wants to do is protect his friends, right? Captain. He's got the pompadour. He's got that the obviously the best haircut in the game, other than Wajima, because Wajima's pompadour is like even bigger. But yeah, by hands down the most useful unit in the game. Like 1v1 me, bro. But anyways, yeah, I think Nenji is also in the S. I have him in the S tier because first of all, I think his story is very unique. His storyline is pretty unique, and a lot of the characters give him shit, but in the end, all he wants to do is basically protect them. Right? He's the best of the boys.
I need a refresher. What happened at the end of his storyline? Like he finds out that he was interrogated by Okino,
Mm-hmm.
and then what else? What happens then?
Sure, I don't remember. Like I'm sorry, IDK. I wish we had done this a week ago, and the game would have been a lot more fresh in my mind.
He breaks free, and then I'm pretty sure his to the final battle scene is him getting in his mech to fight against the onslaught of Demos and he tells someone to run away. Wasn't it? I think it was Tony. Tell her he loves her? I don't remember. It's like he hops back into his mech and goes to fight again.
Yep.
To protect the people he loves.
Yeah,
like
I honestly don't remember what happened in his storyline after he got out of the factory.
I think story wise, I actually think Nenji makes very little impact in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, definitely.
Like I mentioned, he gets the kind of short end of the stick story-wise because he gets stuck in Groundhog Day. He can't really interact with anyone in the actual moving plot. He's stuck in his little.
He meets 426,
He does show up.
right?
He does show up in other people's stories. Yeah, for a little bit. He's there.
He meets
pops
him in the sim, right? He meets him in the sim, and that's the first hint we get that 426 is actually a good guy, right? I believe.
Potentially.
Wait,
like he said, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah, like
how does he meet 426?
He meets him
on
the train in the simulation.
Ah, yes.
And that's the first hint we get that 426 is a good guy. Is actually trying to help them.
We find out that Natsuno has the key at somewhere in the demos.
Yeah.
Neji for me, my personal tier list is A. He's A tier. He's top of A tier. Now it's very adjustable. That's just where I place him. I put him right next to Mira. Like, I didn't have Izumi up there, so like he'll be in Izumi's spot right now. I liked him that much as a character.
Let's see.
But I'm very flexible.
I have Mira as below Natsuno in the S tier.
Okay.
Wait, you have Nenji below who?
Natsuno.
I can see that. I was thinking he's between BJ and Natsuno.
IDK wants to put him up. IDK, you want to put him above Mira, so we can split the difference and put him in between them?
No, I can put him between Natsuno and BJ. I can see that.
All right.
Plus, there's also the shortfall of him not really going to have a big impact with everyone's stories. He just has a really good story on his own.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah.
He's just kind of a loner.
They had to check off the Groundhog Day trope, right? Let's run it again. Let's run it again.
They told God and say, you get to do it.
Yeah. All right.
Throw it the blender.
What's this guy's name?
Onishi.
Onishi the
ogre.
ogre. All right, this guy's in the D tier for me. He appears in Yuki's story, and I had high hopes for him when he was like, "Let's make a deal. Let's make a deal. I want to take down the SIU as well." But then he doesn't appear again. The next time he appears is in a flashback for 426 in another timeline in the previous leap where he's the warden that has locked up 426.
So he also shows up in the Iori storyline.
Yeah, I have him in the D tier. He's one of the two people in the D tier for me. No impact in the story. Don't really know anything about him.
It's a little unfortunate because I did like him.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to like him. I thought there was gonna be a big twist, or not. I shouldn't say big twist, but I guess it's cool that he appears in a flashback. But he didn't even have to be in the story.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the lowest for now.
IDK?
I had him at the absolute lowest C tier. Like, he's just barely hovering above D. But if you want to put it at top of D or anywhere in D, that's fine too.
All right, we'll put him at the bottom. I'm surprised. Who's in your D tier, IDK? Like, Onishi, for me, like, is like prime D tier example.
Ida?
When we get there, we'll find out.
All right, next one up.
Oh
Professor
boy.
Morimura. This one is going to be difficult. I have her at the bottom of C tier because
Me too.
she's actually just a plot device. We don't. She doesn't appear much in any story. Literally, the only story she really appears in is Gota's story, and that's the two of them explaining
Everything.
everything. Basically, tying up all the loose plot points. So I have her at the bottom C tier. She's not really important.
So because of that, would Goto be the same with her? Like should they be paired up? Because I do feel like the same arguments can be made for Goto as well.
So I also have Goto in the C tier, and he is one of the two people I have in the C tier. And I put both of them in the C tier, Goto and Chihiro, because for Goto we didn't really learn much about him. He's still a playable character regardless, but that's why I have him higher than Chihiro. But other than that, yeah, both of them I put them in the C tier.
I can see that. I would put Goto like after or before Chihiro, my opinion.
I guess I can agree with that. I had on my list. I had Goto at the very, 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 very bottom of B tier, absolute last place. Just because I think it was important to have him as sort of like this expositional character that puts all the pieces together. And then you do see hints and tidbits of his backstory and other character stories. Like
I never understood his motivation. I never understood his motivation. I don't know about
I
you
didn't,
guys, but I never understood his motivation at all.
I didn't really either. He's just kind of there to be the smart, cool-looking dude.
His motivation was to do whatever Miss Morimura wanted because he was in love with her.
Mm,
That's true.
right? Yes, that's true.
So
But I think he's a very one-dimensional character.
I do like his probing and discoveries of the past, quote unquote, past timeline.
His storyline is literally just filling out all the loose plot points. That's a storyline. So
which is why I put him at the very, very bottom of B, because he actually is kind of important, but not that important.
Because
he's still better than the C characters.
I know we shit on Iori's storyline, but Goto's storyline is the second worst one in my opinion, because it's literally just, hey guys, here's all the loose plot points. We're just gonna fill it out.
Well, I mean, also he's locked behind like.
No, I understand. Like it's like Nenji, right? Like
he's
Nenji,
locked. You cannot progress him until you see everything else. Like he is the cake topping on the cake.
Yeah, so
he's just there for that.
But his character is very one-sided, so I would put both Goto and Chihiro at the bottom of the C tier after Sekigahara from what we have right now.
I agree with that.
All right, so Goto.
I'll take it. I'll take it, I guess. I might have split the difference. I would have put Goto above Sekihara and then put Chihiro below Sekihara.
Absolutely not. I do not agree with that. I think Goto is. Sekigahara has more dimensions. Has more dimensions than Goto. Goto is.
I still like him better than Sekihara. See how it goes? See how it is?
All right, next one up, Amnesia Girl. Literally, her identity is I have amnesia.
I hated her so much.
And I love my teacher.
I don't like her at all. I'm still really confused about her storyline. She's the one that messed me up the most because her perspective was so like conflicting, and like I didn't know who to trust.
I have her at the very bottom of B tier. She is chronologically, or she is above Goto on my tier list, right above Goto on my tier list. I have her in the B tier.
I have her at the bottom of B tier as well, just above Goto. I guess in this tier list, she'd have to be under Sekigahara?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess put her there.
All right, Shu, and this is just Shu in the as the playable character. Does not include Ida because we have Ida over here too.
This is the character that I didn't like, and I played him towards the end, and I kind of regret it because the storyline had a lot of like nuggets, and I don't know. I feel like because of that, he should be higher, but I don't like him for no good reason.
Okay,
Man.
I
First of all, go ahead.
I played him, and originally I was kind of like, it's this playboy character. Like, maybe I'll put him off to the side for a bit. But I ended up coming back to him. I actually really enjoyed him as a character and his story, and it set up a lot of important things. And it introduces Miyuki, so he's at the bottom of A for me. Bottom of A. If you can't put him in A, top of B plus, top of B.
Better than Morimura?
Yeah, better than Morimura, for sure.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, his story had a lot, but as a character, as a character, he's okay. The story did have a lot, but as a character, nothing's too special about him. You know, he talks to his TV. I did enjoy seeing the scenes of him and Juro in his room, except you're doing it from his side instead. That was a lot of fun. And then you don't see Shiva. You don't see Shiva playing games on the TV.
Yeah, and I did love his relationship. I love his relationship with Yuki, who we haven't gotten to actually last. But at the same time, the ending of the game, the thing that sort of sets the tone for the final tone for that relationship, it kind of sours me on it a little bit.
Is this okay? I'm not gonna ask for modifications on this tier, but there's some things that are outstanding that needs to be fixed.
Sure.
But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, when we fix everything up, that's fine. All right, next one, Sakatoshi. So I'll start for this one. To me, Sakatoshi is the worst of all the 13 Sentinel playable characters. I think even worse. I know we shat on Iori, but Takatoshi's personality is I just want yakisoba pan. That's literally all it is. His story was literally we walk around the school looking for a change to buy yakisoba and soda, and drinks. That's it. Like I really didn't like his character at all. For me he's the worst one. I haven't he is definitely last place. I have him under Gota. But yeah, his storyline was absolute worst because it was literally walk around the school and buy yakisoba pan. Look, his story made me want to buy yakisoba pan, but that's literally the extent of his character.
I mean, he was looking for Okino.
Isn't his desire for yakisoba pan very inspiring? Like better than trying to find a cat treat and then the cat fleeing. I don't know. Like those two, I agree. I agree that those two should belong in the D tier. I think we need to debate which one's better because I think that's really funny.
I'm willing to put it above Iori. I'm willing to because just like you said, just for yakisoba pan. Like with Iori, ironically, both these characters are associated with food. Their story is literally getting food. Both of them is literally we're getting food.
I gotta give Hijiyama more credit. Like, it's a little unfair, but his story is more like playable towards the end, and because of that, you get to know more about the story plot and Okino actually. So yeah, he's above D, or he's above Iori.
Okay.
Yeah. High D, low C. I mean, I enjoy his backstory. When he runs into Mura, he sees his past self talking about his love for Okino, and he's like, I was in love with Okino from the beginning. It's not a problem that Okino's a man. Like, this is how a noble Japanese warrior should be. Okay.
I like how he got catfished. So,
Yeah, I was gonna
but
say
his
I
love
like
is still
the idea of
true.
trap.
But his love is true, and that's what I liked about it. Yeah.
All right, next one is Tamao.
So she's only really in Yuki's story, right? Yuki and
Hero
is that it?
and and Megumi. She's the
Yeah,
one that gives Megumi.
I
The,
have her
there's
at
a,
the bottom of C tier, under underneath Chihiro and above Onishi.
I had her in
So
D tier.
on
D.
this tier list, she'd be a D tier.
Yeah, I put her top of D tier for my list, but I think on this list she'd probably be
She doesn't do anything in the story other than
above Iori. I just really don't like Iori. Her comments towards Yuki about being Watson and Sherlock was kind of cute.
but she doesn't do
That's
anything in
about
the
it.
story. She contributes nothing to the story really. I feel like she was just
Oh,
thrown in there.
yeah, she stopped 426 though in the bathroom.
Yeah, but then only to get infected by 426 in the bathroom.
Right, still. She's one of us Megumi live with Jiro. And
Yeah, I feel that she's more plot driven and her storyline is better than Iori, my opinion.
Wow.
yeah, yeah,
So,
I put her, but under Hijian, put her middle D rank.
All right. All right,
Sad,
Ida.
but
Ida. I have Ida above Chihiro. I feel like, he was given a story, but to basically screw over mankind because you want to restore your lost love, that's a very weak reason for me. And he was just one big asshole. I was happy when Ryoko shot him. I was like, good riddance to this self-centered bastard. So yeah, I have him in the C tier above Chihiro.
but he's under Goto.
Yes, that's where I have him.
I think that's fair. I was trying to think if he's better than Goto. I actually think he's better than Goto just because he's more involved,
Mm.
just story-wise. I know that's a little unfair, but there were points in
no,
time
I can.
when it's interesting because part of mul he's part of like two loops, right? Because
Yep.
like initially he has orange hair, just like Shu,
Hmm.
but then all of a sudden he has black hair. And at that point I got a little confused.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if that adds like anything to his character, but yeah, I think he's better than Goto, in my opinion.
IDK. Agree or disagree?
Is he better than Ryoko?
No, absolutely,
No,
definitely
Goto.
not. Definitely not.
No.
Okay, yeah, then I agree.
All right, here we go. IDK's waifu. I think IDK should start first.
Dude,
Homie.
dude, just put her in fucking S tier. Come on, that's where she fucking belongs. Gotta put her in S tier, man. Come on, come on. But that's my personal list. I'm sure you guys can share your opinions, and we can lower her rank significantly.
Okay, so we can quickly say out of the four that's left, and now that there's no one in S tier, yeah, I kind of saved S tier as a joke for Pon, but we don't have Pon as an option.
Yes, Normal
So
upon or Yakuza upon S tier. So I have Tomi in the S tier, but she's under Izumi for me. She's number 2 on my list.
Okay.
I
why
think
is that?
I think among the playable protagonists, she's got the character, she's got the story. She appears in a lot of people's stories. She's pretty sassy as well, and her friendship with Miwako is also one of the points. But for me, I just think Shiba is the best character in this game. So better than Tomi. Just you know, just he's very multifaceted, and like Tomi is she's all right. Like I said, she appears in a lot of stories. We get to see her reactions to a lot of things. But for me, I think she's in the S tier. But for me, she's under Izumi in my opinion.
Before IDK gives his opinion, I do want to say that like I think Tomi, even though she is the playable character, I feel like she was the best supporting character because I think you actually know her better in other people's stories.
Mm-hmm.
I thought her storyline was actually kind of weak, my opinion. Um, but yeah, I think
Wait,
because of that,
what was her storyline again? I know she went back in the past, or she went into the was
she
it
went to
a
2025.
2025? She was from 2025. What was her storyline again?
Yeah, it was in
Um,
2025.
Get stuck
Identified as
with
a candidate as
Nenji.
part of the Sentinels. Yeah. And so they force her to go back to the past to be safe. So she's forced to live in the past. She makes friends. Forced to go to the same school as everyone else. Um, and then
Oh, and then no, but her main storyline, like her actual storyline, was she gets thrown to 2025, and then she explores it with Nenji, right? And
Hmm.
that's how they grow
Neji
close. Yeah,
and that's how they find Shinonome on the bed.
yeah.
And then they go explore and find her apartment and the little shop she liked. And then they come back and they find the high school. And they find
The UFO. They find the
Sekigahara.
UFO. They find the UFO.
And then they escape that way
Mm.
back to the past.
Yeah, yeah. That's her full
And that's
storyline.
the new,
But yeah,
that's
she
the
is
new
she is
as well.
definitely the best supporting character in among the main characters in the other players' storylines. I agree with that.
Okay, my question to you too. Is she better than Natsuno?
For me, yes.
Yes.
I would say put her below Izumi. Yeah.
Oh, IDK has to talk first before we do
Yep.
anything here. This is his wife, dude. This is his wife we're talking about.
This character, when I started playing the game, I was instantly drawn to her because of her design, because of her voice. Her story was pretty good. She kept popping up in other people's stories, and I really enjoyed her character. Then you have the whole there's another one that's a fucking android running around trying to kill Natsuno, and it's like, what's going on there? And then, like, things really worked out for her. I think she's the best written character in the game, in my opinion.
I
I'm very
sorry.
biased.
No, I agree. I agree with IDK. I think she's actually in S tier. In our tier list, she's S tier. She's better than Izumi
All
for
right,
that reason.
Yeah. And she's the character I empathize with the most in the game.
let's see. All right, so let's rapid fire through the remaining three. Okino, where are we gonna put him? I have him on my tier list as a B. In the B tier, underneath Shu, under Shu.
Hmm.
I would put him. Yeah, I agree. B tier. I wonder if he's better than Morimura.
I have him better as Morimura, but Morimura was at the bottom of my B ranking.
I say put him there for now.
All right,
Yeah, I agree with that.
IDK. Okay.
Wajima.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Wajima. I have him at the bottom of my tier list. He's a D, the D tier at the very bottom. He's the lowest ranked character on my
See
tier
right
list.
here?
I think the fact that he appears in the very last scene and Nenji and him hug it out. He deserves more than that.
Dude.
I mean,
His only role in the game is to get beat up. That's his only role in the game. It's just to get his face beat up. That's what Wajima's role is. Like he serves no other role. Like I feel like that scene is just like comedy. It's just for comedy. There's no.
he's a punching bag
But
for Yuki and Nejima,
Neji.
but and Neji. He's a punching bag for them. He does get his comeuppance once. He does get to beat Neji up once. But he's
I
not like
put him
older.
above Onishi.
Yeah, I put him and Onishi together.
Hmm.
But for my list, he was top of D, and Onishi was very bottom of C. So putting together, I guess.
I think I'm gonna have to override Kevin here and put him, or override Juicy here and put him at the bottom of D. I
No,
think
no,
Oni-
no, 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 no.
He's gotta be better than
Onishi,
Iori. He's gotta be
Onishi's
better
bottom.
than Iori.
Onishi is bottom just because Onishi only interacts with Yuki. That's about it. But Wajima interacts with more
he doesn't
characters.
interact
It,
at all. He just gets his
it,
face beat in. He gets his
he
face beat
helps
in.
he helps develop the other characters. Like the other characters are a badass because of Wajima. Come on, and
That's
then
called
at
a
the very
jobber. He's
end,
a jobber. He's a
and
jobber.
then
That's the worst kind of character in anything. He's a jobber. Like just ask
Don't forget.
Bleach.
Don't forget, Wajima helped set up Iori with Sekigahara. He was gonna take her. Remember they trapped her in the back alley.
Alright, fine.
and then Wajima has one of the last scenes. Come
Fine.
Where's Onishi in it? He's nowhere.
Fine. Alright, guys. Alright, Yuki. Where are you putting Yuki? I have her in the A tier underneath Mira.
Ugh, that's way too high.
I had her top.
But the problem
I had her middle.
the problem is that I have both of these guys in the S tier. So if I were to put her here, I would put her like right here.
Why not just put her above Okino?
Yeah.
In the B tier?
Yeah, right next to what's his name?
Shoot. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
Shoot.
Alright, so this is what we have.
Yeah.
Any modifications?
Okay, big modification, my opinion. Jiro needs to be the top of B tier.
Juro?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think storyline wise, maybe it is because of Shiba though, but like just his revelations with his own identity, I think at least from a character, he's more interesting, whereas Shu is more plot driven in a way.
I have no problem with that
Yeah.
because that's where I actually have Juro on my tier list. So if you want to move in the top of B tier, I'm fine with that. But that's where
On my tier list, I had Jiro after Yuki, so I would put him above Okino, but below Yuki. But fine, put him there. He is kind of like the main character of this game, anyways.
I'm really disappointed with Megumi, honestly. She should not belong there.
You don't think she's on B tier? You think? What should we put her top of C tier then?
Here. How's
So-
that? How's that? That way, these two can be together still. They can be together still.
Just touching. Just touching.
So close, but yet so far.
Pretty much.
All right.
Okay.
Is this our
I
tier
dig it.
list?
Yeah.
Is this the final tier list? This is the definitive tier list of character rankings for 30 Sentinels. This is, Thumbstick Adventures. We know exactly what we're talking about. We know, we do. We have PhDs in waifu studies. We know we have PhDs in anime titties. We know.
I'm
know
just
that.
happy all my favorite characters ended up top tier.
So
Is okay, hold on. One more thing. Is Miwa-chan worse than BJ?
for me, no. Miwo-chan's top of A tier. So for me, I would move her. I mean, I in my tier list, she's above BJ.
IDK, would you veto that? I would move her above BJ.
I really like BJ, but I'm actually not too particular about this. As long as she doesn't go past Ogata, it's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Mhm.
finalists.
All right.
It's so funny that Iori is down, or Tamao is between Iori and Hijiyama.
All right. So this is our tier list that we. So let's take a look at the Japanese popularity poll results.
Yes. I want to see this.
All right. Let me make sure it looks good. All right, so you can see it now.
Looks good.
So they put Ryoko first place.
What? None?
Ryoko is first
Uh,
place.
Oh
why,
my
why-
gosh.
And guess what? Takatoshi is second place.
They really like Fujiyama, huh?
I guess
Man, I can make something of
because
that.
he's Japanese pride, you know. He's got the pride of Japan. All
That's
right.
true.
But then why is he so low though? Why is he number 6? He should be number 2 or number 1.
And then Natsuno, and then Okino, surprisingly, is number 4. Megumi at number 5.
Yeah.
Miura Keitaro at number 6. Iori at number 7. Remember we shat on Iori? Nenji at number 8. Jiro at number 9. Tomi at number 10. And then Goto at number 11.
Top 10, baby.
And then Shu, and then Yuki, BJ, Sekigahara, Shiba, which, yeah, Shiba's pretty low. And then, for some reason, Miyuki's here at 17.
Top 20 poggers.
Niwako
Yeah.
at 18. Fluffy at 19. 20 is Chihiro, who's the little girl. And then Kiriko Dojima, who is actually Okino. They're the same person.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Nurse Morimura, Ida, Erika Aiba, who is actually Tamao, Jiro Izumi, and then Tamao, and then 426, Wajima, and then Chihiro Morimura, who is the professor, and then Yakisoba Pan at number 30. So that's the poll. And then they did another poll with the Sentinel activation marker tokens.
What the hell?
And of course, Iori's first
Yes.
place because
That's
of
what I'm talking
of course. And then
That's
you
what
got
I'm
you
talking
got Ryoko, where is she? On look at
Oh,
them legs. Look at them legs.
Oh, that's dumb.
And then Juro as number 3 because that pose is badass as fuck, right?
Yeah.
And
Is
then
that Megumi? Megumi, gotta lift up the belly. Gotta swipe the belly.
and then you got Nenji at number 4, surprisingly. So, yep.
Okay.
All right. So, any closing words, my friends?
It was a fun game. I'm really
Yeah.
happy everyone got it together. Very hard to coordinate and try to like sync up.
Yeah.
We just gave up at the very beginning of the game. It's too hard.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's relatively a short game, but I think I spent the most time on this game out of everyone.
I clocked at 24 hours.
So I like 27, I think. I definitely think time could increase if you played on hard difficulties of the tower defenses because you might get stuck or just get screwed having to replay levels. But otherwise, it was a very fun game to play. It was a very fun game to platinum. You know, it wasn't like Kingdom Hearts 3.
It's an easy game to platinum. It's very easy to platinum.
Yeah.
This game has like a.
I think literally the only thing that might trip you up is the food. Eating all the food.
Yeah.
If you decide not to eat the food, just try to like fight your way through that without eating all the food. Maybe you might miss that trophy, but otherwise, everything else is pretty easy to get.
Yeah.
Even the drinks?
I guess that's the food thing too. Like if you decide not to try drinking all the drinks and trying all the food choices, maybe you'll miss those. But then you just go back and load those sections. And killing 150 enemies.
This game is very easy to platinum. Very easy to platinum.
Yeah.
It's like a 30% platinum rate. It's really high.
That was a mistake. Yeah, there was no. Yeah, like they could have made it so much worse. They could have made it fully upgrade every Sentinel. It would have been grindy as all hell. At least it was just buy all weapons.
I ended the game with 1 million meta chips. If they had that as a trophy, I could have done that right away, dude. I could have upgraded everything to +8. No problem. No problem. Every armor to +8. No problem.
But if you didn't, like me, you'd have to actually go back and grind that.
I didn't grind. I didn't grind at all. I didn't grind.
I know, but if you did upgrade the meta chips, which I didn't. I didn't upgrade that until I got midway. After 210, I upgraded meta chip rewards. Stupid of me, but But otherwise, yeah, it was a great game. I enjoyed playing it.
Yeah. If you
Yeah.
if you, if you
I'm a
like
little,
story
I'm a
driven
little,
games, this is a game you should. And you enjoy sci-fi, this is definitely a game you should pick up.
yeah. If you want an introduction to Vanillaware at their best, this is probably it.
Yep.
You might actually get disappointed going back to older Vanillaware games because they all have pretty good story, but they all have this sort of very fast-paced, uh, grindy combat stuck in between each story element. Whereas this game, like I said, separated the two, made it so you can do all the grinding and get a little bit of story at the same time, and then you can just go deep dive into story and get as much story as you want before the game forces you to go back to grinding.
Speaking about Vanillaware, I have a Dragon's Crown poster in my room. You can see it. You can see it in the background.
Yes.
That's my dragon. It's
Yeah.
signed by the. I think it's signed by the director. So I do have Vanillaware. I don't know why I still have it up, but it's there. I guess I never bothered to take it down. But it is signed by
Brings
the.
back memories.
Yeah, it is signed by the art director.
I do have the. For some reason, I pre-ordered the special edition of Muramasa from GameStop eons ago for the Wii, and it came with this big fold-out, like Japanese style poster. So it's dual-sided. So you're just supposed to fold it out on a table so you can look at it. Pretty cool. Can't put it on the wall or anything. It has to be sitting on a table so you can look at it. But cool.
Well, I think that's it.
All right.
Why don't you close this out, Kagros?
All right. Well, to our fellow adventurers, thanks for watching it. This is our 10th episode. Can't believe we've made it. I guess we all like doing this, so I guess 10 episodes was inevitable. So the next milestone is one hundo. We need to get that hundo. We need to get the episode one hundo. Who knows how long that's gonna take?
Technically, this is our 13, maybe 12, 13th episode.
Yeah, but yeah, we have technical difficulties. Let's hope we don't lose this one too. But anyways, once again, thanks for watching. If you're watching this live, you can find our previous episodes on our YouTube channel. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, come join our Twitch channel. We usually streams on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. PST. So we don't stream every week, but most weeks we'll come up with a topic and we'll definitely stream an episode. And so, anyways, hope you all enjoyed the episode, and I guess see you on our next adventure.
Adventure home.
Adventure home.